might all just have to give me the thumbs up. Okay, so I'm just going to make it all gallery so I don't have to look at my face. And the first thing I want to say is that this is going to be an interactive session. So if you have any questions, please interrupt me. Don't let me get to the end and then ask the question. If you want to kind of involve yourself and ask questions as I go along. I'm not going to get you all to introduce yourself because it's not that kind of session and you weren't prepared for that anyway. But what I wanted to say is, firstly, thank you so much for making yourselves available on a Sunday afternoon. The prompting for this was essentially just to get back into my community of the White Rose. Izan is a member of that, and that started in 2020 because I've had a couple of months off due to personal healing reasons, of which I will touch on, because my experiences are generally part of the guinea pig process. I'm sure all of you are experiencing them too. But as a seer, there has been a lot going on for me over the past 6, 7, 8 months. And a lot of it, I have been told, is not for public sharing. But I feel we're at a point now where I wanted to gather a group together and also for you to get an idea of what happens in my online community. Just for those of you who don't know, is that we meet every moon cycle, so new moon and full moon, and we gather online. I record those sessions. I'm going to change it up a bit this year because I feel it's needed. The one moon cycle meditation will be for planetary healing, and the second one will be for personal healing. Let me just admit someone. And then I'm going to hold one Q&A a month, probably on the first Sunday. And in those Q&As, I share what my current guidance is. I share what's happening in the world, and I open to questions from my group. And a lot of other things happen at the same time. Welcome, Christine. Welcome, Kirsten. Thank you so much for joining. So excuses to those that have heard me say some of these things before, but I felt I needed to start kind of at the beginning, because when I was sitting down to meditate earlier today to get a prompting of what it was I needed to share, of course, as my community knows, I have like about 4 of these books that are filled with stuff, and I didn't want to bore you and take up your entire afternoon. But I felt we needed to go back to 2020, which is interesting, right, Monique? Because you raised that. And in fact, it is 4 years ago since the pandemic. But about 6 months before the beginning of 2020, I shared a YouTube video that was, this is what the energy of 2020 is going to be about. And I knew something big was coming, but I'm very thankful that I'm not shown everything, because otherwise I don't know how I'd survive as a human if I did know exactly what was happening. But essentially what I was given was the image of an oxygen mask going on your mouth. And we all know that when we're on an airplane, we get told that if the plane goes down, the first thing you need to do before you help anybody else is put the oxygen mask on. So my guidance was around the fact that things were changing big time. Okay, there's a number of other people coming. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt what I'm saying, just to welcome everyone. Welcome all those that have just joined, Zipo and Christine and somebody else, I can't see their name, David. So I'm going to just say welcome and carry on, because otherwise we're going to get lost. So this image of the oxygen mask really started a strong initiative of mine to share information and to help people understand that the world as we knew it was about to change extremely rapidly. And it's not to say that it wasn't changing. We've each gone through our so-called awakenings, or those things in our lives that have really shifted gear for us. My big one was in 2012, when that was beginning of a wave of change. And 2020 was another one. So the symbolism of putting the oxygen mask on was all about us beginning to understand ourselves as energetic beings, us really getting in touch with being accountable for ourselves, taking responsibility for ourselves in the way we act, the way we behave, not only to others, but towards ourselves. This then obviously intensified as we went through the whole pandemic and people kind of got locked away and shut away. Many took the opportunity for increased self-awareness. With that aloneness came a realization of things in their life that weren't working or things in life they need to change. And so a whole wave of people began another set of awakening. And what has happened since then, and I've shared a number of YouTube videos and my community that have been with me since, I think we started the online community in 2021, is that the world has been fracturing. There's a lot of fragmentation. The hologram, as we know it, whatever you want to call it, is actually breaking apart, which on the positive side gives us great opportunities to really change and reach our highest potential. But on the negative side, it can be very chaotic, it can be very confusing. And there's also a lot of energies that are taking advantage of everyone just running around in panic mode, actually. So the big ask during COVID 2020, 2021 was, are you going to choose fear or are you going to choose love? Because what I realized very quickly is that the COVID energy itself traveled along a highway of fear. I felt that myself when I had clients who had COVID and said they'd see me, and I could feel how it was actually impacting people's fields. And then 2022, 2023 came. And those of you who are in my community know that I said I felt like I was floating around a bit like a jellyfish at the end of 2023, as the energetic structures into which most of us were entangled started to fall away and collapse. And there came another big wave saying, well, what is your GPS point? How do you hold yourself as a coordinate, as a sun star being in this matrix that is collapsing around you? So all of you know that have listened to me and tolerated my ramblings over the last few years, that I've spoken so much about the heart, that the heart is the sun, it is the center of your universe, it is your magnetism, it holds your whole multidimensional existence together, and that there was a rapid awakening of that over the last 4 years. We're now entering a different phase, where for those of you that have gone through a mass heart awakening, you are now being asked to work with your soul essence. What does that mean? For me, it just means your life force. The soul is a feminine essence. It is the ethereal aspect, and the physical form is the masculine expression. And I'm not getting into gender basis here, but essentially from a creative perspective, that's what we're dealing with. So those of you who are part of my community know I went on spiritual sabbatical to France last October, November, and I received a lot of information about where we are currently. So where are we? We are at the very height of our fragmentation, both as individuals and as a collective. The next 2 to 3 years, we're going to be in that heightened state, and then it's going to be a bit like a downhill. Not that a downhill is in the negative, but the ride is going to be a little bit smoother. But the next 2 to 3 years are going to be intense, as the world not only changes very rapidly in front of our eyes, but our own field becomes fragmented and shaken apart or illuminated by these new, I call them the mother principle energies. Really all it is the original blueprint of our planet, the Garden of Eden. The fact that, you know, to use very simple language, that we should all be living in peace and harmony as this washes over the planet. And what's happening in a very physical level, because 2024 is the year of the physical body. Absolutely, you're not going to escape that. Is that these mother energies are coming through our neural network. So if you like, we're being washed clean, but the wash and clean will get to any of those dry riverbeds you have within your neural network that are filled, stuck up, dried up, that have stuck trauma, that have a disconnection, where you've disconnected, where you've pulled back, where you haven't stood in your truth, where essentially you are afraid to land, where you feel unsafe in your field. These are all areas that we are currently being, I don't want to say triggered because I don't want to use that word, but these are areas that are being illuminated. And I don't believe that a single person on the planet is going to escape this. Everyone will be affected individually and differently. But the image I received towards the end of last year was the whole planet being engulfed in blue. I heard the words, the return of the mother principle, the return of the Garden of Eden imprint. But the positive thing, and this I want you to remember more than anything else, is that the creator God force, whatever you want to name it, the words were clear. It was, all will be revealed and all will be healed. And I think we have to take that both within our own field, our own relationships, our own community, and in the world. And this is not disrespecting the hugely traumatic, horrific events that are happening in parts of the world. So this sun star, your GPS point, your coordinate, is the place to which you're being asked to return. It's your navigation point as everything collapses. And as I said to those of you that were here in the beginning, welcome to my Millennium Falcon. Because I have been told that I'm holding space, I'm holding a starship for, and I'm just using terminologies. Those of you that will know me know that I use symbolisms, but the holding space is happening on a multi-dimensional level for anyone that wants to step on board and receive a sense of safety. And by safety, I'm talking about a holding space where you can pursue your own healing, where you can engage with like-minded individuals who have similar questions to yours, where you can receive my insights as I'm offered them. But the community itself at the moment, my community, is online, since I have foreign people, overseas people, and I have local people. I did at one stage hold a physical space, but I've been told right now, in terms of the energetic environment, the online space is the most important one, where everyone from across the world can join if needed. And so the space that we're at now is about deepening your self-awareness, staying away from spiritual egotism, spiritual narcissism, spiritual distraction, because it's rife at the moment, where people are seen to, show themselves as special, perhaps. The spirituality I'm talking about is a very deeply intimate internal one. It is connecting to your life force, is connecting to your own truth. And whilst I might share information, I'm just the guide or the prompt. The disclaimer is you can take or leave anything I say. This is not a guru speaking. It is someone who just works in this field, who meditates every day and connects with my guides and my team and the creator gods on a daily basis in my work. So this deepening self-awareness means that we're hitting the kind of last few kilometers of that marathon, right? So it's going to feel like, but I've done this work. Why is this coming up? But I'm exhausted. How do I do this? So our physical body is feeling the effects of these energies coming in, and is going to continue to. So whatever your body is telling you to do, do it. And if you don't hear your body, then there's clearing to be done, right? I myself, I'm a bit of a rebel, and I have been told, like, you got to stop doing this and start doing this. And I'm just like, no way. I just want to do what I want to do. And the words were like, you can, but then it's going to actually impede with your spiritual growth and development at this point in time. So it really is those neural pathways, what I call the mother tree, because those of you who know me know I've been working with a Kabbalah due to a dream I had during COVID for the last 4 years. And so whilst we might have been working on our external light body, our tree of life, we're now asked to look at that one that is held as a sacred site within our physical body, which is our nervous system, which is our neural network, which is our internal tree of life, so that the two together can work seamlessly in what my guides have told me is this year, moving into the next 3 years, is the path of the JEDI, which is why I don't joke when I talk about the Star Wars things, because we're in that realm, right? And the path of the JEDI really is about feeling into the fact that your spiritual aspect is the most powerful aspect you can work on right now, because everything in the physical is created from the spiritual, energetic, whatever you want to call it. So that something like, I highlighted, I can't remember, like I highlighted, but this beingness, the emotional, the mental, the physical, is driven by your spiritual aspect, is alchemized by the spiritual aspect. And realizing that you are that Jedi in training who's being asked to really feel into, how am I animating my physical being? How am I animating my thoughts? What life am I giving to my emotions or my feelings about others? Because we are in a time of heightened sensitivity and a heightened call to become more and more conscious of how we are alchemizing our energy, how we are using that energy, how we are being animated by that energy. Because whilst the talk of fragmentation and the collapse, we are also more intimately connected to each other than ever before. That neural network, the spiritual neural network that is our collective human consciousness, is heightened, is hypersensitive, so that actually the consequence of your thought, of your action, is traveling at supersonic speed now. So the path of the Jedi is when, okay, I wrote something down here, is to direct the flow of life through your spiritual will, not your human will. And the delivery of this as a life force into the physical body. Not all of us can go don a UN hat or go and help people who are desperate in need or in war zones. So what I want to say to you, though, is if you cannot do that, then what you can do is commit every part of your being to heightening your understanding of yourself as a being of energy, what you are saying to yourself, what you are doing to yourself, what you are saying to others, what you are doing to others. And I kind of feel like I'm pushed on a bit of a repeat button here, because this was my drive in 2020. That was my big thing. And my old YouTube videos hold all that information if you actually want to go back and listen. But it's that heightened sense that every action has a reaction. And I'm not talking about karma, because the karmic laws are being destroyed. Everything we know, it's your spiritual knowledge, your karmic laws, the energy centers, they're all changing. Everything that we know is disappearing. We're entering a deep place of the unknown. And so dropping thought forms, moment by moment, dissolving thought forms, realizing that you are changing, your body's changing every single second. You have trillions of cells that are changing every day, some of them dying, some new life created. We are this universe of life that is continually changing. And yet the human remains stuck and stagnant in set ways of being, set ways of thoughts, and pattern thinking. So the artificial intelligence, the real artificial intelligence that is our problem, is that of the mind, is that of the human mind, not this technical AI that's coming. That's got a different, it's actually got a different life force associated with it, but I'm not going to talk about that today. But your artificial intelligence, that beingness that has been created by old thoughts, is also being asked to just dissolve. And actually, it is as easy as the flick of a finger to dissolve that. So this path of the Jedi requires a very deep consciousness that is moment by moment based. And I'm not saying it's possible every day, every moment with humans, but we are God's greatest experiment in distraction. So the first step could be about removing those distractions that are actually coming to you and moving you away from this here that is your internal GPS point. So the iconography, is that even a right word? I think it is, of Jesus in Mary's arms, is Jesus, the fire of the heart, symbolically, sitting on the throne of the soul, which is your life force. And we are in a battle for your life force. That is the bottom line. We are in the depths of spiritual warfare, if you like to say, and without, again, making you wobble. But it's the realization that actually you hold that power. You are the channel for that power. And any work you can do that really focuses on clearing that means that this embodiment of the soul, because everyone speaks ascension, we're past ascension, we're into descension, for those that are ready, is that soul force, the life force, the generic mother principle is coming through like a golden spiral and washing through all of us at various stages. Again, everyone is on their own individual journey, but that soul embodiment is moving through us, and our commitment to really working deeply in this year and next year with our physical bodies, with our neural network, with those things that it triggers as it moves through our own underworld, means that that energy can move all the way through and anchor into Mother Earth, and from that point rise up. That is our path, is to become more deeply embodied, to seed in our soul, however you want to describe it. The soul for me is just a vehicle of higher wisdom and a higher way of being, but to seed that in so it can rise up into your field, and then you move from that place. So this soul embodiment is intense as these energies are pouring in. I call it the cosmic waters, that we are in the womb of the cosmic waters at this point in time. We are in utero. We're at the very, very early stages of our new way of being, of the path of the JEDI. And I know there are many spiritual teachers out there that say new earth is here, and in one realm it is. But in the human realm, that which I call the new human, you are not to disappear into the spiritual realms anymore. By all means connect, but you're being asked to embody the spirit as a human, as a physical being, and to walk from that place, because that is the only way we can go forward. Your soul can only be embodied and incarnate through the physical body. I kind of feel like I want to say that again. Your soul can only fully embody through your physical beingness, not through escaping into the spiritual realms. It's through our human expression. It's through our humanness. Because then people around us get to experience that. Yes, sorry, I'm getting fervent about this, but I'm quite passionate about that. So this vehicle of the soul that holds your highest wisdom, that holds your highest expression, moves through you without the mind even knowing. So if you're still chattering in your mind, there is something that needs to be stilled, because it's like a washing over. It's a washing over and through you that is happening right now. I mean, my physical body is such that I'm hobbling around because my left foot can't even touch the ground. It's quite funny, actually, because when I see it etherically, it looks like I'm hobbling on a little stump. Because my foot doesn't want to land. Okay. No, I don't want to land. Yes, I do want to land. No, I don't. Yes, I do. So there's some days when I'm like, yes, I'm here. And other days when I'm like, not a chance. And I think that's normal, right? We're moving in and out of this. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, I do. But we have to remember too that the other words that came is that we are in a stage where we need to consider reverence for all life. All life, the good, the bad, the ugly. When I tuned into the Mother Principle last year, when I was on my sabbatical in France, the words were, everyone is deserving of my grace. And I think as a human, that is the hardest thing, is that everyone, should they look up and say, I'm ready to receive, is deserving of the grace of that divine blueprint that is our original collective human field, where we knew how to respect life, where we were in awe of life, where we revered nature, and we revered our fellow humans, and we revered the animals and plants that we were blessed to have found ourselves in. That is the point to which we are being asked to return. So anything in nature, any awe feeling you have around nature, any reverence you have for the sunrise, the sunset, the smell of a flower, the flight of a bird, the song of a bird, cuddling your pet, whatever it is that generates that that feeling of awesomeness, the feeling of reverence for life. Do more of that. Because life is precious. And we have lived in a collective humanity for thousands of years where that has not been the case and is still not the case. And so your first start, your first port of call is reverence for yourself. As within, so without. That saying that's now so old and tired, but it's true. We have to become that within, and we have to work really hard at that over the next 2 years. And I know many of you are probably exhausted and tired. It doesn't have to be hard work. It can just be sitting and reveling in the awesomeness. But it does mean that self-inquiry continues and the deepening self-awareness continues, and that you show discernment for what's happening out there. Mm-hmm. And that you start to become deeply aware of your own intimate truth. And if you don't know your truth, seek it out. But for me, my truth has always been, well, first of all, it's my faith, my unwavering faith that we are cosmic beings, that we are stardust, that just happen to find ourselves on this planet, and that we all come from a single point or breath of God or whatever you want to call it. Even in my darkest times, I have been blessed that that has never left me. And so what happens to me as an individual is that I generally walk the path of the guinea pig too, right? So towards the end of last year, I could feel something moving. And last year was probably my most difficult in a long time. But as I felt this energy really moving into those underworlds, those areas that got closed off because of a traumatic childhood, and we don't all have to have a traumatic childhood. It can just be times we've closed ourselves off from our truth, right? Is that I felt those things that my young child must have felt, but didn't actually get time to show them because I was always such a happy-go-lucky. That was just my nature. But what I realized is that there was a different level of experience going on that was there and needed to be cleaned out and needed to be seen and needed to be held. So this is not about numbing it, disappearing from it, or being afraid of it, because it will wash over. It's a washing. You're not going to stay there. So the sense that if you feel it, that, oh my God, this is where I'm going to be, this is who I am, I'm not going to be moving, is not true. Because this pouring in is so quick and fast that you're going to move through those things faster than you've ever moved through anything over the last however many years you've been, focusing on your own healing, because I know all of you have done that, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Each one of you that is here is committed to that within yourself. That I do know. And I honor you and I see you and I thank you deeply. So this battle for the human soul, for the life force, means that the spiritual warfare does demand our commitment. And it doesn't mean if you decide not to, that something terrible is going to happen to you. Please don't let your mind get in. But we are in the turning point. We are at a threshold, because those words have been coming to me a lot too. Walking through the doorway, we're on a threshold, right? We're at this tipping point. And those of you that work with energy know that the change happens there first. The physical expression of it comes afterwards. That's just the way it works. So if you know you've popped through a healing gateway or threshold, give it time to come through and wash through your mental and wash through your emotional and wash through your physical. Give it time to do that. Have patience. But this is also a time where we, that statement of everyone is deserving of my grace. How do you feel grace in everything that's going on without judging? And I know that's a biggie, right? But in the divine realms, there is no judgment. And I know this also sounds odd because we live so much in that on this earthly realm. The grace does not hold judgment. So that is one of the most powerful things you could do right now, is your GPS coordinates feeling into where you are still judging yourself or others. And I'm not saying tackle the big ones, because I think that would be difficult for many people, but hit the smaller ones. You know, like, why does he not put the lid on the toothpaste? Or maybe he never thinks of putting the lid on the toothpaste, or she. Or why do they behave that way? You know, I don't, and I'm speaking to someone here. I'm a Enneagram type 1 perfectionist. Poof, that's a baddie for being critical and judgmental of people at times, right? So these are the things that we're still asked to look at, to remove the entanglement, because if we get stuck in that, our energy becomes stagnant and we become locked in. So we want to really unlock and free up any energy, any thought where we're stuck into a certain way of being. This water that is coming in, the cosmic water, the mother principle, whatever words you want to give it, it's flowing, it's moving, it's changing. I can feel that there's been a lot of stagnant energy over the last 12, 18 months, even January and half of February. But now I feel things are moving again. There is movement, and movement is a good thing. When I see someone who doesn't forgive, generally their heart is locked in this prison. There's no movement there. They're locked into a story. They're locked into a way of being. So we need to move within ourselves, within our relationship. So I feel I've spoken enough, actually. What's the time? Yes, it's half an hour. So I'm opening up for any questions or anything that anyone has to share, because trust me, if you have a question, someone else will feel the same question. So nothing is stupid. That's what I want to say. No question is stupid, because we're all in this together. Are there any questions? No.
I have a question.
Yes, Rialdi. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Wait.
Thank you. Thank you for you, Lilah. So do you
Yes.
guys ever feel like, is any of this real? Am I going insane? Maybe I should just be in a mental institution. Like, how do I know any of this is real? Do you have those moments? I just need to know.
I'm sure everyone can
Yes.
put up their hand. Everyone, please, hands up. You're not alone, Rialdi.
Okay. Thank you.
And you know, again, my experience, and others can please share, but absolutely. You know, I thank my husband, who looks at me sometimes and I can see he's freaked out a bit and his eyes get a bit big, and he'll just go, okay, okay, yes. Or if I speak in a strange voice, he'll say, who are you today? So yeah, I think Rialdi, okay, Andre, we're in so many different dimensions. We're experiencing so many different fractured experiences. You know, we are in like a zone of heightened fractals. That's what I call them. It's like the worst kind of hall of mirrors, you know, where every moment things are changing. I actually look at people now and they look like a hologram. They kind of change in front of me. That's weird, right? So where you see a bit of shape shifting, because this heart center, the sun, is our point of reference. That's where we need to keep coming back, because that's going to hold the magnetism. That's going to hold your field together as things fracture and change. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of answering my second question, because it feels like I can't trust myself anymore, because I will be so sure of something right now, and literally an hour from now it'll be completely different, and I'll be like, what happened? And it's like I can't ground myself.
No,
It
you won't be
changes like this, so you can't make any decisions. It just goes.
Izan, I see you smiling. You also, hey, you can agree to that. Yes. Yeah, so that's why I call this a starship, because there is so much movement that there isn't a place. We're not sitting at a time where there is this place in the new earth that we can all anchor and we can grid ourselves, and energy lines are changing and moving and widening every single day. And that's why I said, I don't know whether you were here, you know, when I started Reality, or whether you were here to hear it, is that We are in an unknown. It's nothing is known. So, you know, as much as I share now, this is my information today, right? Tomorrow I come to you with something completely different. Which is why I received very short messages now, and I don't receive anything for months, because this is the time you're living in. You are in utero. The cosmic mother principle is returning. Whatever is illuminated will be illuminated as it moves through you, but no, it's continually moving through you. So you have to keep moving with that.
Okay.
And,
But
and
it
so,
makes your ego go crazy.
well, it is the ultimate dissolution of the ego, right?
Mm.
So yes, the ego is going to be triggered more and more. If we thought the ego was triggered in 2020 and before that, now, and remember, I don't know, you know, you might have a different description, but for me, the ego is just that robe we put on. It's our clay. It's a clay-like thing that we put on to engage with the world. You know, this is what I put in to cope, to do this. This is how I want people to see me. This is what I want validation on. All of that is just false.
Mm.
So the illumination that comes within, that point where I said this embodiment of the soul, that ultimately, and whether any of us will get there, I don't know, or, you know, in my lifetime, you know, because I'm halfway there anyway, well, hopefully halfway there, I live to 100 or so. But as it moves through, is that is going to be the rooting, is that the soul field, your feminine principle, whatever you want to call it, that is moving through this golden spiral, that is now working deeply with our neural system, like our own roots of a tree. If we allow it, if we are brave enough to move through that as it's illuminated, it then will allow that soul energy, the mother principle, the feminine force, to come in, to root into the new structures that are being created as we speak, and to rise up like a tree from it. That rising up is the new, not the we're in now. And that rising up comes from the seed of the soul. That is your true self. That is your true expression. And when that rises up, reality, there is no space for the ego.
Okay.
So the image I got of the whole planet being engulfed in this blue, a few months after that, I saw the seeding and these trees rising like powerful giants, just rising out of the blue, out of the water. So that's the process, because we also know the mythology of the ark, right? Is that you started to see the branches and the dove of the peace. And for me, that is just symbolic of that tree, those branches, is our own alchemical process. It is the seeding of the soul and the rooting in of your full life force throughout your entire physical being. So I said the physical body is so critically important at this point in time. And we know that the underworld of our physical body holds that stuff, right? We're in the fertilizer. We're in the dark. Our illumination is coming through those roots that are sitting in this underworld of our own shadows, of our own inverted commas trauma, because that word is being so totally overused. And I don't mean disrespect, but it's more like, let's just call it showing up through the underworld, because that's where we have to go. No seed is planted out in the open. Well, some are, but you know what? Most seeds to germinate, they have to go into those places. The dark wound, uterus, it's devoid of the light.
It feels to me like a state of chaos. It's like a state of chaos at the moment.
Absolutely, because everything.
So will that settle eventually? Will it get better? Please say yes.
Well, who's going to be anchoring the settling? It is up to
It's
each
like
one of us,
it makes a lot of sense that you're talking about the body, because the only place where I don't feel chaos, the only place where I feel a sense of home, if I can use that word, or calm, is when I drop into the body. That's the only place that feels like okay.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Yep. That's, you know, and to direct this word I wrote down here of directing the flow of life from the spiritual world, not the ego, not the mind, not the person will, not the, you know, not for validation, not to gain some status, just through that allowing of the spiritual world to direct your life. And spiritual is also a funny word at the moment. Those of you will know that I've had problems with that word for the last 2 years, but Yeah, it is. It's chaos out there. And also it's shifting. That's the thing, right? This hall of mirrors. That's the only way I can describe it, is the fragmentation, the shifting. What it's also doing, I must say, and especially that's why I had to do a lot of work to hold space here today. And I know all my team are there holding my word space, because that is the one channel that is being completely disrupted at this point in time. What you say, what others say, what they say, what she says, what you hear, what you see. It's like there is, when you have the electrical wires get cut and they short circuit and that creates the static, there is a lot of interfering energy that is changing the words. So if you hear someone has said something about you and you get worked up, make sure you go to that person and say to them, what did you say? So that you can hear it first off. Because there's a lot of deceit, a lot of deceiving, a lot of miscommunication. Because remember, not only the interference, but people are so fragmented that even those that might have been in your space on your frequency, they are wobbling. They are moving in and out of different dimensions and different times. So you might see someone and then think, well, why are you suddenly like that? I experienced you like that 8 years ago, but I thought you changed. The going back to the past is also happening. And that's the timeline shifting. So we can be ourselves here and now, but then we might feel something come up that someone might say, but you're behaving like you did 10 years ago. Whatever it is, it's because there are aspects of ourselves that have been fragmented out into our orbit, and I'm just talking individually, energetic orbit, into our orbit, that are now coming back closer for illumination, for integration. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we look at this constellation, the GPS point that I spoke about, the sun of the heart, when I'm working with a client and I'm working with maybe an aspect, a child aspect or another aspect, it's like it's their Pluto, right? It's like I'm reaching out to the furthest corners of their energetic orbit, their metaphysical orbit, their multidimensional orbit, and it's coming up now, it's orbiting round to be seen, to be illuminated, to be healed. And when we can see it and heal it, it releases that energy that then is adding to the magnetic force of our sun, which then has the byproduct of pulling more towards us. So it might seem that we're having more to deal with, but in actual fact, our spiritual strength is growing because the magnitude of our heart center, our sun, is growing. Does that make sense? So the heart field does that, right? It's grown, and then it gets to a certain tipping point where it's now ready to start receiving the soul field, the vehicle of the soul. That's what I call it. It's not a thing, it's the vehicle of the soul that delivers to you remembrances, higher wisdom, higher ways of being, vibration. Then we're creating a much wider funnel for that start to come in. And we're at a time now where those are ready. It's being amplified. It's exponentially changing our experience through time, through dimensions. Now I'm sounding like I'm going a bit cuckoo, but, and sorry if, sometimes it's difficult to explain these things, but yeah. Any more questions, comments? No. How is everyone? Are you okay? Yes. Okay. So I wanted to finish off with just a small visual meditation, just to give you a feel of the heart field, but also just to finish off to say that this was just an open Community of the White Rose offering. For those of you that do want to consider becoming a member, there is a membership fee, but it starts off at €6 a month, which I think, what's that in rands? I don't know, 6 times 18, 60, 120, around 115. For that, I hold 2 moon meditations and I hold a Q&A each month. The reason why I charge is the energy exchange and the work that is required from my side in terms of platform, but also meditative work. I put a lot of effort into my community. I think, Izan, are you the only member of my community here today? Yes. So it's a small community. It's not hundreds. It's gone up to 35. It's now around 20, I think. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's there if you wish to join. But there's no problem if you don't want to wish to join. But yeah, I've been told that I need to hold the spaceship, whatever it looks like. And this is my way of doing it. Apart from other work, but I've kind of closed my Instagram. I'm not posting on Facebook. I'm not sharing YouTube videos because the way the world is at the moment, I've been told I really need to hold a tight space. And in those platforms, I can't hold the tight space. It's just too much going on. So it has to be a much safer space that I hold. Yeah. Anyway. So I thank each and every one of you. I'm going to do the meditation and then I'm going to close after that. But really to have you here present, and if I haven't called you out by name, Nozipo, Kirsten, Rialdi, Christine, Tess, Irani, Monique, me, Isabel, and Nicola. Thank you so much to everyone for attending. I really, really appreciate you and your time.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
so if you wouldn't mind muting, you can turn off your camera. We'll just finish with this short, brief visual meditation that I was given by my guides, just to kind of end the session before you all step out into your afternoon. It'll all be part of the recording. Yes, it's still recording. That's great. Okay. So I want you really just to start by closing your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that, and just taking a few long, deep breaths. Just taking your inhalation and exhalation to the same duration. And then, if you feel comfortable, putting your hand on your heart, just to bring your attention to that area. Connecting into that breath without which none of us would be here. It is the light way, the highway along which your soul travels, along which your life force travels. And perhaps we have an internal smile while we say thank you for the fact that we did get up this morning, that we are all here and our bodies are healthy. Perhaps even you can visualize a smile in your heart or surrounding you, just as the great mother, life, wraps you in her arms, as we feel that deep reverence for life. And then bringing your attention back into your heart, I want you to see if you can visualize a golden orb or a golden sun. And with every exhalation, see if you can expand that around you, above you, below you, to the front of you, to the left of you, to the right of you, to the back of you. And as you sit in this space, visualize yourself walking to somewhere sacred. It might be a place you know. It might just be an imaginary place in your mind. A place where you feel safe and calm. And just feel that sense of safety moving through your entire physical body, engulfing you in a warm embrace of love, compassion, empathy, understanding, acceptance. And in this place, perhaps you feel comfortable to hold out your hand and just to see if you receive a gift from your guides. Perhaps you're already with your spirit animal. And just ask quietly if there's anything you need to know at this point. Really feeling and honoring that connection. And as you stand up from the sacred place and you look around, you see that we've formed a circle, hand in hand. And in the center of the circle is this huge pillar of light that is connected to the highest stars and the deepest point within the earth. And as we form the circle, the light we hold radiates out like ripples, reaching people, places that need to feel the energy of love and compassion and healing. And then as you look up, you see from above the sun shining brightly and that golden warmth trickling over the top of your head like a golden waterfall. And allow that golden energy to just reach any part of your physical body or your field. Just letting it wash over you. And connecting you to the highest light there is. Again, coming back to your heart center. If you're still in the circle, see yourself walk away and find a quiet place again. Just to sit with your back against a tree or on a rock. See if you can tune into the natural sounds of the birds or the wind or the smell of the sea, the mountains. And just feel those elements of nature working deeply with you as you feel the weight of your body on the chair, wherever you are sitting. And to end off this brief meditation, say an internal thank you for anything you feel the call to give gratitude towards. And taking a deep breath, see that circle of light just coming closer and closer, ending up as that golden orb in the center of your chest, and connect with your physical body. And when you're ready, you can come back. I'll wait here just to say goodbye, to close off the circle. Hello, beautiful beings. Is everybody okay? Are you back in the space? Yes. I hope you got some glimpse of your JEDI, because you would have received some visuals. And those are visuals where you're not going mad, reality. That is your greater sense talking to you. Your soul, your spirit, whatever you want to call it. Your JEDI in training. Are there any questions before we close off, or is everybody okay? Everybody okay? Alrighty. So I just wanted to end off saying that life is precious, like really precious. My husband had a motorbike accident on Monday. Fortunately, it was minor. He just fractured his wrist and he's just bruised and battered. But there are moments like that where you just like, you know, you're brought right back into the space. So if we can hold that reverence for life as many times a day as possible, that will really assist you in this journey, like truly. And especially reverence for this animated being that it happens to be our physical body, that without our breath and life force, it would just be not here. So yeah, honor your body today more than perhaps you've done the entire week. Okay?
Okay.
So thank you so much. If you have any questions didn't feel comfortable raising with the group, but you wanted to ask me, drop me an email or WhatsApp, and I'll do my very best to answer them. And for my community members, I will see you soon. I think 10th of March is full moon, right? Is on. I think so. The next one.
I
Yes.
don't know.
I think it's then, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll see my community soon. Thank you, Tess. So thank you to everybody. Lots of love
Thank
to
you,
those far
Lilah.
and wide.
Thank
It was lovely
you.
to have you here.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.